We have actually put out a call for some questions from our general public
Yeah.
community.
Okay.
And so we had a few questions, of which we selected a few. And so here's a question from Jocelyn Ramirez. What do you look for in young up and coming composers?
Yeah. Well, I see that all the time after teaching composition for half a century there.
Right.
I think that part of the trick in teaching composition is to guide the composer into areas that you think that the composer will excel at, a certain kind of talent. I remember working with Dale Trumbore, who's a good example of that. He started second year of her master's with me, and I felt that her forte was going to be choral music. I felt that, and so I geared my compositions, worked with her along those lines, and really emphasized poetry, the relation of text to poems, and this kind of thing. So as a and other people who have no interest in that area, I would guide them in certain ways that I think that they were on the path to, but simply expand that pathway for them, to introduce them to works that they should know, to introduce them to techniques that they should explore. My composition teachers did that, and this is why you find for example, the very thorny piano variations that Ralph Gershon has recorded so beautifully, very different pathways. And these were just pathways as a creative artist to explore. And so I, with my composition students, I set up a series of divergent pathways for them to explore, and then to find things that they seem to excel at and seem to have an innate ability in, a special ability in a certain way, and then try and nurture that.
We have another question. This is from Paul Nelson, and this is a very general question. He asks, how should your music be performed?
Yes, well, I try, as you well know, conducting it. I try and give as many indications possible to the conductor and the performer in terms of everything: tempo, dynamics, articulation, overall shape, all of these kind of things. And I was very happy when I, for example, on speaking about the trumpet sonata early on, to have a recording of that by Roy Poper and Byron Petzone. That is absolutely fabulous. I had nothing to do with any of the preparation or record, and it's absolutely spot on. And they followed all my directions on that. One thing that must be said, and you conductors will agree with this, that notation is very imprecise. It makes no difference how much information you can give on that. The conductor, for my music or any other, let's stick with choral music here for a while, or vocal music, has got to do a great deal of preparation prior to beginning to work with the choir on that. First of all, they have to go to the poem. They have to research the poem, the poet, find out everything you can about the poet, the interpretation of the poem, the poet's life, all of this, what the meaning of the poem. And then you go to the music and see how this text is reflected in the musical setting. Now, further than that, the conductor must understand the overall background style of this. For example, it's easy enough to talk about the pieces I wrote for Solomonovich. The basis of that is chant. You should know about chant. You should know that the flexibility in the tempo and the phrasing of chant. And it's a great deal of fun for me to write a long lyrical line, such as one finds in Sure on the Shining Night. But in performing this, the composer must understand the root of this piece of music. And there must be a great deal of flexibility in this, as if you were singing it as a solo off the Broadway stage. And so when I hear an introduction to this, it's just all straight eighth notes, it just drives me nuts, because that's not the way it should be. Even though I have written in push ahead and hold back and retard and polka retard, and I give indications on how much a retard it should be. There has to be a flexibility, and you have to look at the overall shape of the phrase. the larger picture of the phrase links. I'm not thinking, sure on this shining night, da, da. I'm not thinking, sure on this shining night, da, dee, da, dee, da, dee, 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 da. On this shining, this kind of thing, the shaping of this. And this is what choral conductors must always be mindful of. What are the background roots of the piece I'm doing after they have digested thoroughly everything they can about the text and then the music, and then they go to their choir to perform.
And any ensemble that's had the privilege of performing with you on stage, your music, you know, has seen you embody that, where, you know, even your own performance of Sure on the Shining Night can vary
It
from time to
changes.
time. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's an improvisational quality of this. Exactly. And luckily for me, I've got a lot of fine recordings of me doing this on YouTube, but also on one of the more than 200 recordings out there. But yes, so I would say use that as the guide. Be flexible, open it up, make music. Make music. Don't be fixated on the notes. Make music.
Amen.